So you're thinking of solo camping, but maybe you're too afraid to try it. And here's where I'm supposed to tell you it's happy and fun. Well, you're wrong, it's scary and it's dangerous! At least that's what our brains are wired to tell us. Now, hear me out. The most common questions or comments I get when I tell people I've gone alone into the woods is, oh, I could never do that, or oh, aren't you scared? And it turns out through human evolution, our brains are wired and trained to think like this. It makes sense. So I'm not picking on you, but let's pause for a minute and just make fun of our ancient ancestors. It's not funny. If they die, we're not here right now. So we share anywhere from 1% to 4% of DNA with our ancient ancestors, with cavemen, cave people. I'm not sure what to say anymore. Neanderthals! Innately, we all have some fear or mild anxiety of the deep, dark, scary woods full of predators. And the purpose of that fear is to promote survival, aka our primitive instincts, our fight or flight. But before I go on a long tirade about human evolution, I'll bring it back to solo camping. So what exactly are our anxieties? It's really boiled down to three things. It's fear of the unknown, fear of the dark, and fear of predators. There's actually a few phobias related to these. There's xylophobia, and I'm gonna butcher this one. Nichiliphobia. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I just pretend to play one on YouTube. Now let's dive into these three components and just dissect them a little. Fear of unknown places. This makes sense. New things can be scary. So if we don't know something, our brains tend to go to the worst case scenario and we plug in the missing pieces, usually with something fear-based. It's just, again, it's part of our fight or flight response. It's wired into our brains. Also, the environment, the world we live in today is very modernized and detached from nature. It's been kind of ingrained in our culture, the deep, dark, scary woods and predators, whether it's through Greek mythology or fairy tales, Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood. It's crossed over into all forms of medium. So in movies, you have the slasher films and horror movies in the woods. You have Blair Witch. They all are compiled on really preying on that fear of that human emotion of fear of the woods. To help conquer the fear of the unknown is simply do your research. Pour over Google Maps data, pour over Google Earth data, image searches, look up reviews online, scout areas ahead of time, hike into them. A lot of the areas I've found by just being on a day hike, and then I make a mental note of a place that I want to further explore that looks kind of cool. So those are all things to help ease the burden of the unknown. The more you can know, be a sponge, soak up that data ahead of time, and it won't be as unknown when you're going on your camping excursion. The second thing, fear of the dark. So when the sun goes down, our brain likes to fill in the gaps of the unknown. Humans are programmed to think like this. Dark means death. If we fall asleep, that predatory lion is going to come and kill us in our sleep. Most of the big bad predators are nocturnal hunters, which leads me into the third one nicely, predators. Humans have not been the top of the food chain for really all that long in our timeline of existence. Probably the last 97, 98% of human existence, we've not been the top predator. We've basically survived as a species by going, oh, that thing is gonna eat us! Let's look at the data on that, however. So, in the last about 120 years, at least in the United States, the primary large predator are bears, specifically black bear. Now, with black bears, our primitive brains want to huck spears through their cold, dark heart. But in reality, the data is actually pretty surprising. So the odds of getting attacked, mauled, and killed by a black bear, the odds are, can I get a drum roll? Thank you. The odds are 1 in 2.1 million. You have better odds of your refrigerator tipping over and killing you. And fun fact, you have a 1 in 179 odd of being murdered by another human being during your lifetime. Huzzah! So the odds of being killed by another person versus a black bear, you have a 99.999% chance of getting killed by another human. More so than you do by a black bear. So you're safer in the woods, sort of. Aside from rewiring hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution's fight or flight programming, I do have a few other tips on solo camping that I'm going to release in the next video, which will ease your Neanderthal mind. If you happen to learn something new, be sure to throw a spear at the like button or subscribe by smashing a rock into your phone. Leave your comments below. Maybe there's another tip or something you've learned in the past that's helped ease your mind about nature or solo camping. And just remember, if you're too nervous to solo camp, just remember, it's all in your head. Because thousands of your ancestors horrifically died. So, we'll see ya. Thanks for watching. Until next time.